The problem with the Muslim countries, as I said, is they find themselves in a position where they don't want to be sidelined, or they don't want to be in a place where the United States can force them into a place akin to Saddam Hussein's Iraq, a place where they become a pariah state. They become the new North Korea or Iran. So on one level, they fear for themselves and their own parochial interests. But on another level, they fear for one another. They fear for the backstabbing that exists between the Muslim states. Qatar's prime minister recently said that there were statements made by another Muslim country, and we believe that's probably the UAE, which said that because Qatar hosts Hamas in Doha, that Qatar is not an honest broker. And the UAE at this time, where Gaza has now faced more than 10,000 murders, really, in this slaughter, the UAE was trying to undermine Qatar in the eyes of the United States, to say to the United States that, hey, look, I'm a power. I'm a more viable power than that of Qatar. So what we're seeing here is we're seeing backstabbing between Muslim countries, and we're seeing resolute weakness in their response to the crisis in Gaza. If I may just point out one very quick point in direct answer to your question, Muslim countries from the very beginning were very cautious about how they responded to the situation in Gaza. Now, sometimes we can be fooled by lots of strong speeches, as you intimated in your question. So initially we had, for example, Erdogan. He gave after a week at least, he gave a very strong speech against Israel, and he said that Hamas is not a terrorist organization. He called 1 million people out on the streets of Istanbul. He called his AK party members to boycott corporations like Starbucks. Much of this is really empty rhetoric, I have to say. It's really for domestic consumption. There was a social media viral tweet that went around of an old man in Turkey who said that, look, Erdogan, you called us out to vote for you. You called us out to protect you. You called us out to defend the rights of Muslims. And we did that. Now that the people of Gaza are calling for your help, what are you doing? So public opinion in these countries are resolutely in favor of, on the side of Palestine. By the way, even public opinion in the Arab countries, even public opinion in UAE and in Saudi Arabia, despite what these countries present, are resolutely on the side of their brothers and sisters in Gaza. And the Muslim rulers are playing catch up, but also trying to pacify the public and saying what is sufficient for those publics to feel that their governments are doing something. The strongest move we've seen so far, and it's a very mild move, is that of the Jordanian government. And that's really a reflection of just the anger there exists on the streets of Amman. The Jordanian government has recalled its ambassador from Israel and has removed the Israeli ambassador in Amman, and has said it has no plans to return that ambassadorial status. That's probably the strongest move we've seen from any of the Muslim countries so far. Erdogan had to recall his ambassador from Israel, but that was only after, by the way, the Israeli ambassador had already left Ankara and had returned to Ankara. And Erdogan has said very clearly that he has no intention, actually, for that to be a long-term diplomatic standoff. Their trade relations continue. All of these governments, most of these governments, have very strong trade relations with the state of Israel. That has not been even placed under any danger. They have not even suggested that trade will be severed anytime soon.